Joe Joe in the morning, family. Happy Thursday. Hey, super proud of you guys. A lot of people have been sending me a lot of emails and just talking about how they are dreaming again. They're believing again. They're expecting something. They're having high expectations. Friends, I'm telling you, if we could ever grasp the full reality of what God has in store for us, what He has in store for our nation, whatever nation you live in. I know we have a lot of viewers from a lot of different nations. I'm telling you, you would be motivated to pursue God, to go on a fast, to read the Word, get a good mentor, dive into books that really help you, listen to the right podcasts, watch the right YouTube videos, because God has a lot. He has a lot in store for His church. Not man's church, for His church. And so I am super excited about this season that we are in, okay? So let's get rolling, okay? Let's go to Philippians 4 and 6. Don't be pulled in different directions or worried about a thing. I'm going to stop right there. Don't be pulled in different directions and don't worry about a thing. If you're going right here and you get your gaze off and you start worried about this, you are no longer moving forward. You are no longer moving forward. Over the past few weeks, I've had to live this out. I've had things happen, things come in the mail, phone calls, things that could have pulled me way off track and grabbed my attention because different things in fear. But you know what? I kept high expectations on my days. And a few days, some stuff happened early in the morning, and I'm just like, hey, I'm not giving into that. I'm not giving into that. I'm moving forward. Every single thing worked out. Everything worked out. Some things worked out better than expected. That's why you keep high expectations, okay? You just got to keep believing. Philippians 4:6, don't be pulled in different directions or worried about a thing. What should you focus on? The main thing. Keep the main thing the main thing. That's what you focus on. And it says, be saturated in prayer throughout each day, offering your faith-filled requests before God. We need to stay in the state of prayer. Pray without ceasing. We need to be saturated every day in that place of prayer. Just stay in current with God all throughout the day, keeping our mind sharp. Because if we're not keeping our mind sharp, we're not reaching for those high expectations. We're not believing. We just kind of get off. I have a buddy who works at a car lot, and he was telling me one day about these people there that, all the salesmen come in ready, motivated to sell, but then like during the day they'll get caught on their phone, looking at reels. But there's a few salesmen that stay out on that lot. They're there. And they're out there. Cold, hot, they're out there. And they're taking these clients, these possible customers, and their sales are twice as much as everybody else. It's because they're focused. It's just, you've got to be able to move forward in your mindset. You got to keep high expectations. I remember when I was a youth pastor, I would take kids out and I'd be like, hey, here's the deal. We're going to go off to, like, say, the mall. The mall was big back then, or Walmart or whatever. And you have to pray for somebody for salvation or for healing, okay? And I would send them out, and they would all have high expectations, and sometimes they were nervous. But like Jesus, I would send them out two by two. And they would just have high expectations that they were going to lead somebody to the Lord, or pray for somebody for healing, or pray and encourage somebody. And to see them come back with such a high expectation of, oh my goodness, I prayed for this little lady and she was so encouraged, and she, they tell me their stories. We got to have that expectation in life. When you're walking, with family members through hard, times, maybe the loss of a loved one, or somebody going through a physical thing or something emotionally, you got to believe they're going to get better. You sometimes have to have high expectation for other people. Sometimes you got to believe for other people. If my wife tells this to people all the time in our mentoring program, ladies, if they're having a problem believing, my wife will say, hey, why don't you borrow my belief for a minute until you can really believe for your own? I believe you're going to get that job. I believe your prodigal child's coming home. I believe your marriage is going to turn around. I believe you're going to land that job. I believe that promotion's yours. I believe that ministry starts going to work. I believe. And so you let people borrow your belief of high expectations, okay? Heavenly expectations. We have got to believe. James 1:12. If your faith remains strong, even while surrounded by life's difficulties, you will continue to experience the untold blessings of God. Think about that. If your faith remains strong, nothing about can God do it, nothing. It's about if your faith can remain strong. The word says, even in the midst of life's problems, distractions, difficulties, can your faith remain strong? If you can, and your mindset is fixed on the promises of God, the things of God, the Word of God, it says you will continue to experience the untold blessings of God's favor. Now, whenever I go through something that's hard, I go through a rough season, I expect to receive during that difficult season. I expect to come out better on the other side. You don't go into a hard warfare season and come out the same. You come out bitter or you come out better. Okay? Think about King Jehoshaphat, 2 Chronicles 20. 3 armies came against him, Moabites, Amorites, people of Mount Seir. The Lord said, fast and pray. So he fasted and prayed. He didn't go gather the troops. He didn't get the army prepared. He fasted and prayed. He went to the brook. The 3 armies destroyed one another, killed every person. His army didn't do anything. At the end of that epic battle, that all of his enemies defeated one another, it took them 3 days to go gather all of the spoils and bring them in. In the midst of a difficult time of threats from 3 armies, he stayed strong in the Lord, kept expectations high through prayer, fasting, and encouraging the people. Everything fell into place. Everything fell into place. You just have to believe. And so he continually experienced the blessings of God in the midst of the hardship. What happens is when hardships come. Now, let me explain this last part. You'll love this last part. I'm going to explain it. Where it says you will continue to experience the untold blessings of God. See, whenever hardships come, you are generally, usually, and you're supposed to be experiencing the blessings of God. But when the problem comes, you usually greet that problem verbally by word cursing yourself. Bad doctor's report. You get a letter in the mail that says you owe X amount of dollars. You get a bad report about something. Place you work's going to cut 20% of the workforce. Whatever it may be. You verbally usually help the attack, but not us. When the attack comes, when the false report comes, when that distraction comes, we continue to speak life and we continue to walk in the blessing of God even in the midst of that. I believe that when the world gives into fear, that's where the children of God flourish. That's where we move forward. That's where we advance. I remember times in our nation when there was times of fear, when people were scared and a lot of stuff going on. Everything I do always advanced in those times because I didn't shy away from the things that God called me to. I pushed in harder. I prayed more. I fasted more, read the Word more because I had high expectations. Dr. Miles Monroe would always say, in the midst of moral calamity or financial crisis in a nation, that's when businesses and ministries grow the most, because people who are not scared to serve people, to help people, will always be blessed. You will prosper in the midst of a famine. You can live in Goshen while the Egyptians are in the 10 plagues if you have high expectations. See, the Word of God is true at nighttime, in the daytime, when it's cold, when it's hot. No matter what season it is, the Word of God is true. And we got to realize that. And we can't be verbal assassins to our own destiny because something happens. That's what this word is saying. If we will remain strong in the midst of distractions and difficulties, we're going to continue to receive the blessings of the Lord. There's been times when a lot of people would get sick because this would come through or this would come through, or it was, it's just cold season. I'll rebuke that. I am getting cold. You just got to understand, oh man, it's a recession. Oh, inflation's high. I will still prosper. You have to speak life over yourself. Keep high expectations. There's a lot of people in this day and hour that are giving up on themselves. They're giving up for their family. Listen, if you are a husband or a wife and you give up, you're giving up on your family and your kids, please stay strong in the Lord. Keep yourself grounded in the Word of God. We have to keep moving forward in the things that God has for us, okay? So I just want to encourage you today. Keep your expectations high. Keep moving forward. Keep advancing the kingdom. God's got amazing things. And I keep hearing this word in my spirit. Advance, advance, advance. Even when it's not easy, keep advancing. Love y'all.